on your mind? Can I read it from your eyes? Can we live and make the time stand still? What if we stay, pretend there's nothing else?
Inside of me, you better watch out. If your enemy's a road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he goes mean. He gets claws real big, gets off quick, and if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score, never getting bored. Loves the blood and gore, always wanting more. Freedom from the source, they don't really listen until they feel it for their heart in. If you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped, you be chewed up and discarded.
And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate. There's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
Welcome to the LXC.
Down in the rift again, where champions ascend. Warden League lights the night, diamond dreams burn bright. Tournament's heart beats fast, LXC is here at last. Amateurs with skill to prove, in this battle groove. Diamond wreck, shining pure, victory is near for sure. In the LXC.
As the extremely ticky Sejuani alongside the Kled charges forward. Heels finds the knock-up onto the enemy top laner, but the Ornn is getting chunked down low, and Kawoda takes him down. On the front line, we do have the Mega Mel ultimate, does so much damage. Takes down the enemy mid jungle. Fish tries to get back in there, barely is going to be able to take down the Mel before getting dropped himself. Meanwhile, Kawoda is still alive. The Varus with the scaling Yuumi carries through the team fight and completes the Yace. A triple kill for Kawoda and Contingent. Back actually they started to materialize. So now we look very smart.
Right.
As now the Kled is going to charge forward, is looking for Baywa, but the Kled has gone very deep for this one. The Sleep is going to come out onto 2, but look at Kawoda still firing. Well, the Varus may put himself in danger. He flashed forward there. He's going to get taken down. Oh, unfortunately, a tragic misposition there from Kawoda does get punished, and now all 5 members still alive for Dorado. The blinking health bars as Contingent Black try to retreat without their Varus. They have no chance of winning the fight. Fish of Man is going to be forced to flash into the Raptor camp to get away from the Lily. Cherry has Hullbreaker on Bel'Nath Jungle.
Well, it is an
I
item
guess
you can build.
That's true. It is available in the shop. Boris does carry that item.
Maybe
And
he
honestly,
shouldn't for jungles.
I think I kind of understand the thought process. Cherry is just recognizing the fact that they're never going to win a team fight, ever. Trying to set up a pincer onto Dorado. The Dragon's getting burned down. Heel's gonna let it rip with the ultimate. Finds the knock-up. Kawoda, though, has the Yuumi to stay safe. The Dragon does get taken down, so Soul Point goes over to Dorado. In comes Epitome on the flank, though. The Scion has that monster angle. Takes down Cherry. The Ornn is going to drop as well. And Contingent looking to continue the chase. Alternative doesn't have anything left. Baywa, oh, just needs a little bit more on the Fish. The Zap's not going to land. The Kled is going to get away, and Baywa's not going to be so lucky. The arrow lands over the wall. It's going to be Source Walker's snips that finish the...
Does that give Kled 2 minions? Dinosaur and a cat?
Panda typing, thanks, Uwu, in the chat. As, Mocha is saying no thanks for that one. That was very difficult.
Yeah, Mocha probably where she shouldn't be. Face checking a bush, then happened to find a Gwen, not a Yuumi.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Week 7 of Warden. Tonight's match features Mint Cryptic, formerly UKN Cryptic, versus NLE Kittens in their penultimate best of 3 of the regular season. Both teams are coming off wins that they picked up in week number 6, and both teams are already locked in for the playoffs. There is still seeding to be determined, and that is exactly what these squads are going to be playing for in this one. My name is Crewman44. Joining me on the caster desk to start off the stream, we have the splendid Mr. Soulkeeper. Soulkeeper, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Been a fantastic evening. Looking forward to a really solid game here between these two.
Indeed. It has been an interesting one. Lots going on here in the LXC. And Mr. Badger, you've arrived just in time, sir.
I made it just in time. How's it going, crewman? Just barely-ish. Ish. I apologize for being a little bit late. I got held up in traffic a bit, but I'm excited to be here. You got to fill me in on what you've been yapping about so far.
Oh, I had just finished my intro. You seriously are just in time. You didn't really miss anything at all, Badger. So
heck yeah,
it's absolutely perfect. Yes, and I'm sure Soulkeeper is pretty pleased as well that you've arrived just in time to relieve him of his casting duties that he was almost subjected to just now.
Subjected to. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm super excited to be here. I'm also, I apologize for, I'm taking a quick second. I'm pulling up the OPs for tonight, crew. Yeah. Tell me, if you're given the TLDR, even to the chat, what are your thoughts on these teams? Like, what are you expecting from this? What's the big takeaways here?
Yeah.
I can go. The game I'm about to hop in here. Perfect.
Very nice, yeah. But I was just saying in my intro, Badger, that both of these squads are coming off wins last week. Both of them are locked for playoffs as well.
Gotcha.
So really, the only thing that we're playing for tonight is the seeding.
Okay.
NLE Kittens, they are 1 win ahead of Cryptic at the moment here. So the Kittens up at 5-1, Cryptic are at 4-2. So the Kittens, if they do win tonight, that would set the stage really beautifully on their end for the matchup against the other 5-1 team at the moment, which is, of course, Mint Gaming. Mint with a Y, as opposed to Mint with an I, who they're going to be playing against tonight. Very confusing, I know. But
I know, it is confusing. I think I got the pleasure of getting to cast, I think, Mint. It was their series, I forget which series it was, but I remember their mid laner is who was that mid laner? He was phenomenal. He was doing some wacky stuff, and it was getting a lot of he was making some shenanigans happen. I will be honest.
Anthony, I believe.
Anthony, yes. And I know a lot of the members of this NLE Kittens roster. I've played with a couple. I've heard legends of Onset. He's a member of Goon Squad. He knows a lot of the players here. He's talked very highly of them. Mlac or Calm, I've heard very good things about it. That guy will grind out solo queue until the day he dies, but I've heard his Zillion mid. He's got a nice win rate on it too. Piglet, I know. Emery's, all of these players are people that I've heard very good things about, so I'm super excited to watch them go.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe not Emery's tonight, but I do know Piglet still, so regardless, it's not too bad.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you mentioned Calm there, because I do not know if I would have picked up on that, the fact that his name is Calm backwards. But I do feel like that's probably what we should call him for casting purposes, right? I feel like it's cooler than Mlac,
I feel like it's
right? Or do you think
I feel like it's a little easier too. It rolls off the tongue a little bit more, like Calm. I feel like it's maybe like a word that's in the English dictionary, you know?
It really is. It strikes me as a word like that as well. I am very curious as to what the reason might be, why it has been reversed in this case, because I feel like Calm would be a perfectly fine gamer tag, right? I feel like that would work well. But whatever the reason may be, definitely by far the most wins for this season is Calm over there with over 300 wins already, which is very impressive.
Yes, I'm looking at it. Calm, he got to play. I think he was actually the first pick in the draft tournament that happened over at New Origins. I got to cast some of that, and it was very exciting. His Zillion is, you kind of think about it like you always go back to the Soren Bjergsen. Bjergsen's the iconic guy who played that Zillion mid. But it has a lot of value, right? It has that kind of. Sometimes you get away with playing. I want to play a different role in my role, you play these supports mid, and it's
Right.
you get away with a lot of stuff, and just a lot of times maybe you call it not a knowledge check, but it's sometimes super fun to just like watch how that plays out, just how that is going to like see. Um, what ends up being the case with the Zillion, I think it's really, really strong, and I think if I forget who the enemy mid is that's going into Calm, but if they aren't prepared for it, if they don't ban it,
200 years.
it's gonna be scary. So.
Yeah, it's 200 years. I will be interested to see if they are going to be respecting that Zillion mid that you're really hyping it up for us. So that'll be fun to track to see if that is something that the side of Mint, formerly UKN, are going to be wanting to ban away. But yeah, there's some other picks that I'm looking out for as well. You know, I was looking when I was looking at the win screens from this past week, Badger. It really seemed to me like the AD carries were kind of the standout players for both of these squads. Particularly for the side of Kittens, you know, Phantasma had
Mm-hmm.
just a monstrous performance in that past week in their 2-0 over Definitely Not Aether. Seemed like Definitely Not Aether definitely did not have a chance in that match. That was 26 kills on the Draven for Phantasma in that game number 2. And I noticed as well that Mint did lose their game 1 to the Goofy Gooners last week. That was also against Draven. So I'm curious about that pick in particular as well, if that's going to end up getting banned away by Mint.
I think looking at it, there are a lot of answers into it, right? You see, I'm also seeing that if he's a big Caitlyn player, right? This Phantasm guy, and I think if you have hands, right, you're masters. Obviously, you have hands. But like you can get away a lot with the fact you got that extra range, you got that extra bully power. If they put Coconut Doggy on a support who's going to make space have a little bit of hatred for him, I think that you can get a lot of early leads from just playing these really strong kind of like early game 80 carries. And I know a lot of the times we're thinking about meta right now, I kind of think it's leaning a little bit more towards the kind of I've seen hyperscaler like Jinx. Jinx has kind of been one of those like big staples. Sivir is up there as well as maybe like I guess Varus. Varus is kind of fits that all around niche. But so playing these kind of like really strong early game ADs, I think gives you a really good advantage, and I think that's something I want to see from this roster.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I like the fact that you mentioned Jinx there as well. You know, that's another pick that both of these players have picked up with a good amount of success recently. But it will be interesting to see. You know, Jinx not necessarily a character that's known for her strong early game, her strong laning phase, like you were just talking about, Badger. You know, you're saying maybe you'd like to see these carries play a little bit more for the laning phase and try to find big advantages in that regard, right? So we'll see if the Jinx ends up being a priority pick this evening.
I'm I just think it has its value. I think there are counters into it, right? I've seen a lot of teams go with the B1 Jinx. I think right now B1ing 80 carry works. I think jungle is probably the premier B1 role right now. I think there are a lot of strong champions. Darius, I don't know if I've talked about it yet or have cast it. The Darius Cho'Gath Reign of Terror that's going on. I'm a bit of an abuser. I will be honest. I've been playing Cho'Gath mid, but I think Darius, he's strong enough right now that you can just B1 it. It has flexibility top, even if it's probably not going there. I think right now you're looking at jungle, and I think Jinx has a niche into that, right? You kind of are playing like you're playing range disengage into the Darius, just trying to say, hey, we're trying to slow you down as much as possible. But I think if we're seeing it could be blind. I just think there are a lot of ADs that are pairing well with the Darius and that meta, and that's what I like to see. So that's hopefully maybe no Jinx tonight, maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. It's still open for now. So is the Zillion. So is the Draven. So is the Darius. Let's see what Mint want to go for here with the B1 pick. Yeah, they did tap down the mid Cho'Gath a little bit. I don't know if you saw the patch notes that just came out yesterday, Badger.
I
You
did.
know, they tapped him down a little bit. Were there any other changes in that patch? You know, besides the obvious lane swap stuff.
The lane swap stuff, and Bessa I don't think got touched. Aurora got touched. That's another champ. I'm mid lane main, so I know mainly I'm keeping track of the mid laners. Other champs I think that I saw, Ashe got a little bit of a slap on the wrist. I don't know if it's enough to take her out of the meta. Because it's an R damage nerf, and I think that's not realistically the biggest issue. I don't think you're using Ashe ults for the damage that it does. But especially if you're locking the Seraphine here, I'm thinking that Ashe isn't as incentivized maybe here, but I think Seraphine, like we said from over on the side of Mint, I think it's strong. And look at that, crew. I was talking so much about not wanting to see the Jinx, and they said, never mind. Nope, Jinx is broken regardless of what rank you're in.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point was valid. There are some strong picks in the meta right now that can counteract the Jinx in some regards, but ultimately, I do think that the game is still played around objectives, right? It's played around these team fights, and Jinx is no doubt one of the premier team fighting AD carries in the game. So not too surprised to see that get scooped up alongside the Maokai. Sejuani going to be the response for Mint, likely in the jungle.
I I'm a big fan of the Sejuani Yone pairing. I think Yone, if you have a team that is built around him, he is blindable. I think there are sometimes he has been stronger. I will say some champions right now will just they will bully him really hard in lane. Right, some of his lanes now just with the continued sustain nerfs are very hard. That is maybe one of the hardest. I think that it just immediately gets locked in. Gets a lot of value here into the Sejuani. That Vex pick, you don't see it a lot. Maybe Mint were calling the bluff, hey, you don't play the Vex, but they say otherwise here.
Yeah, definitely a strong answer coming out from, the player that we really have our eyes on this NLE Kittens roster, right? In Calm, picking up the Vex counter into the Yone. Although I will say, Badger, I do think that I know rather, that this Yone is actually a flex for Mint Gaming's. Their top laner played it in one of the games last week, and I believe did have the most damage in the game on the Yone. So
Okay.
we'll see. I
Well,
mean,
that
maybe the Kittens are willing to flex the Vex around as well to keep the Yone matchup, but we'll have to see.
I've been watching a little bit of LEC. Merwin, the top laner for I guess Koi now. I was gonna say Mad Lions Koi, but I think they're just Koi. He played Vex top a lot as a counter into Ambessa, if I remember correctly. I think
Okay.
it's still you can kind of just do the thing where you just have the Vex follow the Yone. I don't know if the top laner for the Kittens they are feeling spicy enough to do that. Merwin is a
Right.
bit of a psycho, but it's a really cool tech. I think other champions that I really like top, I guess that most people wouldn't like Anivia top. I think that champion has some value, but Lulu paired with that Jinx, especially you talk about value. That champion, I don't know how she's been this good for so long. She is a nightmare to play against.
Yeah, Lulu is definitely one of those kind of evergreen champions where it seems like she never really goes away, right? She's not always S tier, but the Lulu is always a strong pick when she has the right pieces around her, and I think that's definitely true in this case with the Jinx. So a little bit surprised, honestly, that Mint didn't decide to ban away the Lulu. Maybe they just weren't thinking of it, but I feel like maybe the Lulu ban instead of the Braum would have possibly been worthwhile, but the Kai'Sa going to come through here for Mint, so that is going to be probably alongside the Seraphine down there towards the bottom lane, and I'm expecting a mid lane pick here. Oh, and would be completely wrong with that expectation.
Apparently, it's gonna be Seraphine mid. They're probably thinking that the Vex is that mid. It's stuck mid, so they're saying Seraphine does well into this matchup. We're okay to make it happen here, but Darius locked in as this final pick. This is technically still possible to be that jungle Darius that has been dominating most of my solo queue games, regardless of if he's on my team or on the enemy team. I don't like this guy. He's a stinker. But I mean, you see, technically Maokai can go top to potentially answer it. I think Darius also has a nice matchup into Yone. So it's a really good option to just have a little bit putting some mental edge on, hey, we don't know exactly where this Darius is going to go. We're going to know in a second, but also you're thinking about it. And I don't want to call it early, but I just like what's the word? Stat power that kind of just comes from the side of NLE. They are playing, you wouldn't call them meta abusers, but these are some of the cream of the crop champions right now. Vex maybe is a bit niche and Maokai has fallen out of favor a little bit, but I'm looking at the Jinx, the Lulu, the Darius, and I think you've just laid such a solid groundwork for a really potentially clean game here.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of strong pieces on this NLE Kittens roster, but I think what's even more sort of significant for me is just I feel like what the NLE Kittens have with this draft, it actually kind of counters pretty nicely what the side of Mint Cryptic have put together. I feel like with Mint, it's a dive comp, right? You've got the Yone and the Kaisa and the Rel who are all trying to dive forward and fly in towards that back line. You have the Seraphine as well, who's able to follow up really easily with the extended range on the ultimate, right? She can really thrive when she has characters on her team that are trying to dive forward because she can bounce the ultimate off of them. But NLE, the Kittens, I feel like they have the Maokai, right? They have the Vex. Both of these champions love getting dived on, right? They're so great at kiting. They have so many tools to peel back and really, maintain space in those fights. Even the Lulu as well can really excel in those kind of kite back situations. So feels like not only do the Kittens have those strong pieces like you're talking about, but I feel like their draft has a good matchup against what Mint have here as well.
Hmm. I'm excited to see how it ends up playing out because you kind of see. I would say definitely if this is like season 14, I am a huge fan of the Mint comp. I think the Kaisa, the Rel, the Yone, Sejuani is that's my favorite way to play. Is you're going in, you are pressing buttons, you are finding a target, you are making them pay. Seraphine also is I think she's gotten the buffs on this patch as well, giving her a little bit more strength. I guess we'll have to see. It's most likely Seraphine mid. I think it's going to be that Yone top lane. So it's going to be, is she going to get value here? I think if it's into Vex, you do. Which I think is probably what NL or the Kittens are locked into, just with the way their lanes have ended up playing out. So I'm excited to see it. I think it has some good gank setup with Sejuani, with a Yone maybe roaming down looking for a sneaky angle onto the Vex. But yeah, I just, like you said, just the reset heavy, and I feel like if Mint is playing into where NLE want to go, it's exactly what NLE's wanting, right? You talk about it. The Darius maybe is the only champion that I would say is kind of out of the kind of grasp of what this team is wanting to do, but I think he can still play for those resets. He can still, but I guess you kind of are competing with Jinx for those resets, but not really. Jinx can get an assist. Darius gets the Noxian guillotine off, and it's going to be reset city, right? If Mint does not burst this team down, these fights are going to get really messy.
Yeah, even the Vex as well can play off of resets, right? If you land that first ultimate. And Darius, even if he doesn't get the last hit with the Noxian Guillotine, it's fine. He still gets the max passive stacks, right? Even if he doesn't actually end up being the one to secure the kill. So, yeah, I really like that point as well. The fact that this is a really strong reset composition for the side of the Kittens. Just another avenue that I think they could use to really break open these fights. But we'll have to see. The always the question with dive comps, right? Is can that initial punch be successful, right? With that initial dive, are you able to take out a priority target? And that's pretty much going to determine, in all likelihood, I think, this game, is if the side of Mid Cryptic are going to be successful in that endeavor. But overall, Badger, how are we feeling about these drafts? If you were playing in this game, which side would you rather be on?
If I am playing, I hinted that I like the Mint draft if it was season 14.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you know this, crewman, but we are in season 15. We are in the era of Noxus. We're in the era of Darius right now. He just got a new skin. I don't know if you saw it. It's an alright one. But I'm leaning more towards the man himself, the Darius R5, the Jinx, the reset city comp. I'm gonna go with NLE Kittens game 1.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm leaning as well. The Kittens, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, are slightly ahead in the standings at the moment also, so seems like they're pretty favored on paper. We're going to go into a short break, guys. When we come back, we'll have game number 1. All right, everybody, welcome onto the Rift, our first game of the night. We have got Mint Cryptic on the blue side, and we've got NLE Kittens on the red to start this one off. You expecting anything at level 1 here, Badger?
You know, there is the potential opportunity. Maybe Darius goes crazy, but I think a lot of the times you look at it and you would say there isn't a whole lot of strength in these sports. Maybe Rel if she lands a nice W start or the Q start on like a flash, but I think a lot of the times these teams are content with kind of just playing it safe, playing to just not get that early lead because you kind of can see a little bit of advantage in going late with both of these teams. So I guess that's what they ended up going with this time. So.
Makes sense to me. We have both of our junglers still hanging out towards the top side of the map. Speaking of our junglers, astute, some more observant viewers may have noticed that Piglet rostered in the jungle tonight for the Kittens is their substitute player. And we've seen Piglet popping around at all kinds of different lanes at various points during the season for this squad, but first time that we're seeing Piglet in the jungle. So worth mentioning, I think.
As his opponent is starting on the opposite side of the map from him, so it means that these junglers are going to be pathing away from each other. The Sejuani heading up to try to deal with that Darius, while the Maokai is going to be assisting his Jinx and the Lulu in this lane. I think it's not a bad call from each. I think you could potentially say you want to scrap with the other enemy jungler, but also like these, if you think of scrappy junglers, Maokai and Sejuani, they aren't at the top of my list, so I think it's not a bad call. It also just gives you a little bit more safety in this clear.
Yeah, definitely the case. Probably going to be a relatively quiet early game. You know, I do think the top lane is probably the one place where we do have a decent chance to see some fireworks. We see Z trying to put some pressure down onto the Yone up there. Darius very good at getting that early control of the wave.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it right now, right? Already up 7 CS. He has control of this, making Yone. I feel like when I've seen this matchup, talking with a lot of my like top laner friends, they do say this is a very, very tough one for the Yone to deal into, right? Darius, if the Yone ever goes into his E, Darius just ghosts and runs right back to where he's going to be popping back up. He has the ghost. He is opting into it here. Also getting that really, really nice ward to potentially spot this Sejuani who's going to be coming up for this blue. I think this is what you need to be doing as Darius, right? This is a very volatile lane, and I think if you are the side of NLE, you want to be trying to accelerate him.
Definitely the case. Always love it when my top laners are able to get that Warden, get that extra information. It's always very, very helpful as the jungler, those kind of situations. So Piglet should know, not contested for that bot crab. And, sorry, if I could just get my producer, the Discord stream is lagging very slightly, if you could just count for me.
See, but I mean, even still looking at it now, another note is the wave, I think top, I don't know if it is just bouncing back, so technically it isn't, but it could potentially if the, I guess Maokai is on the other side, as we do see a trade, but nothing too crazy. They're just kind of throwing hands. As Yone has that level advantage, he has that stat stick right now, so he's okay to push with his wave, but I mean, looking at how the rest of these lanes have kind of played out, it's relatively even. The Jinx Lulu has that early advantage, which makes sense, right? It is a range support versus a melee. You have that early extra poke, and when you have a Jinx as well, you're going to be throwing rockets, you're going to be throwing them hard. So I think it's going the way that they want here, but look at that E. Is that... He's chilling. Oh, as the pull comes out...
The wave crashing there for just gank up towards the top side. So had his jungler in the back pocket if necessary, but it should be a pretty comfortable reset for the Yone if you'd like to take it. Maokai also finished his clear, secured that south crab. Also going to be going for the reset. So junglers perfectly in sync right now. I'm at 419, 420, 21. Is that... Okay, am I 1 second ahead or behind? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, guys. We were just having a bit of technical. It's been a bit of a wonky one. It's been Riot. It's been us. We've been all over the place. But I mean, still, I mean, relatively, the game's been pretty chill. So it's been all right. They're farming out. They're kind of feeling each other. It's game one. They're maybe getting out those nerves, getting out those jitters. They're trying to find the angles that they need and play the way that they need to. Getting the shields off on the Kai'Sas.
You know what I think it was, Badger, is the teams probably were actually aware that we were having those technical issues, so it was actually just purely for our benefit.
It only makes sense.
Had a slower paced early game. Yeah. So much appreciation. Thank you to the teams for understanding and working with us there. But we do have our first Dragons alive on the map now, so it might be time soon to see some action starting to take place, potentially.
I think when we're looking at it, the fact that I would say there's a benefit of getting your bases off early. And it does look like actually the bot lane is basing now. They are up 12 CS, which is pretty good. Jinx already with that BF sword. That is always such a nice purchase if you are an ADC. It's like the lost chapter of ADC, right? I'm a big lost chapter fan. BF sword is their lost chapter, obviously. Vex has hers, so she's feeling pretty good. As you look at Seraphine, opting more into the components, right? Has the tier, has the amp tome, has the sapphire crystal. I think right now, looking at it, this fight, if they go for it, is very advantageous for NLE, as I was expecting that rel to do some wacky stuff. And you look at it, they have that item advantage, and they're going to take that priority, and they're going to get the first objective here with that dragon.
They absolutely are, but it is going to be a trade. As we see Cryptic on the top side of the map are going to be able to secure those grubs. So what we're used to seeing in with those first couple objectives, they are going to get traded off. And good heads up from Longshot Larry down here towards the bottom side. Got the wave pushed out and is not going to stick around to get ganked. He's able to back off in time. Just going to be that early neutral trade, and we still have a very, very even game here, Badger.
I will say, I think you always count like, hey, which of the objectives is better here? Is it better to take grubs? Is it better to take Drake? And I think there's realistically an argument for the objective that each team took, right? You say the grubs went over to the side of Mint Gaming, right? Yone late game, he's a bit of a menace on those side lanes, right? He has the opportunity to put on the pressure. He will be able to burst this Darius, and look at this.
See if we can put the pressure on Darius right now. Z popping the ghost for the movement speed, but gets prisoned glacially. And now Darius, he goes for the knockdown guillotine, just came bleeding out, gets taken down. It's going to be ZXD in the 1v2. Takes off Ione's head.
Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, you look at it, and I was like, I thought it was getting scary first, right? Because the Darius, he didn't get the, I guess, the execute off of the Noxian guillotine, but, oh, no, the TP. I thought maybe he was going to be feeling himself. Oh, I got scared there.
Yeah, it was a tense moment, as Z definitely was considering diving the boar lady. But with the teleport coming in, not something that Darius was going to be able to go for. But yeah, Z not even having the flash there, just the ghost being enough. And like you said, didn't even get the execute with the ultimate either. Just used it for the burst damage, basically. Just knew he needed to take down the Yone as quickly as possible. And was able to outplay in that situation. Now as the steel caps on the first buy, and that's going to be really comfortable into this Yone matchup.
Gonna be super comfortable, right? You look at, I guess, the damage spread that's coming out from the side of mid gaming, right? And you have the Seraphine, sure. When you look at other mid laners, she's not queen of doing the most damage. She's mainly there to provide a little bit of utility. So you get the value out of the Yone. If this Kai'Sa, you can't go that split damage, but she's still going to be auto-attacking. It's not a bad purchase, giving you that mobility. I know a lot of Dariuses will kind of get greedy and go with the Swifties just regardless of the matchup, but I think it's a good call here for, I think it's Z3? Z3 is how we're pronouncing his name. But he's
sure,
up.
We can go with that, yeah.
We can go with that. We're going to say Z3 as he is up 14 farm already and a kill. He is feeling pretty comfortable. I don't know the exact amount gold-wise, but I know, oh, look at this. He's sitting there, and he's getting a nice trade.
Oh, yeah. Level advantage right now as well for the Darius. Is he going to get the turret plate also? The minions, they're working away at it. I think they're going to get it. There it is.
Nice. He's feeling himself. He's feeling happy with that, right? He is the God King, and I mean, might be a little early to call it, but right now he is kind of, he's leading the charge. He's leading the gold charts for the side of this NLE roster, sitting at already up 500 gold. That's nothing to scoff at, especially this relatively early in the game. And when it's been this slow, every gold lead counts, I would say, right? If you're going to keep building it up, it's not a bad thing. And look at it. Like Darius, he is exerting his pressure. He's making it so hard for the Yone to look. He's not able to get up to the wave. Even if you miss the apprehend, the Yone's having to use E to farm. This is definitely like worst case scenario if you're a Yone here.
Yeah, it's not looking too good so far. You know, have to remember as well that Z3 did have the counter pick, right? Had the option to go for the Darius on the R5 spot there. So clearly knew that this was going to be a favorable matchup for him. But you did also, oh yeah, in trouble once again here. The Glacial Prison does come out, and it looks like they're going to be able to burst him down. Z tries to go for the Q, but doesn't get it off in time. So that's going to be kill number 1 for the Yone, and we're all tied up.
I guess lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. As I mean, I saw it. I saw a little bit of a glimmer of hope there. I saw the Q coming out, and I'm like, maybe he somehow heals to full HP with 1 Q, and then reality struck. I realized it's hard. You have to put on pressure, but you also got to realize there's still a limit, right? You aren't you're not Thanos here. I'm talking about he is a big deal, but you gotta be not pushing your limits there. And I think Z3, he was feeling himself a little bit too much, and unfortunately he got caught lacking there.
Yeah, you know, maybe if you were able to flash out of the Sejuani ultimate, you know, he could have had the opportunity to outplay there again, but just not quite ready for Yerdmeister to make that second appearance. And credit to Yerdmeister, right? For, you know, that first gank did not go well at all, but not giving up on the on your top lane or not giving up on that matchup, was able to make it happen the second time around. But looks like they're not in position to go for the grubs. Those have been started off by the Kittens. Z has that top prio once again, and it looks like Yurt is not going to be able to get in here. So this is going to be all 3 grubs in the second batch going over to the Kittens. So nobody is getting the allegiance of Twitch chat in this game.
And I mean, one thing I think that was noted here, the reason they were also able to take this is they rotated their bot and support up to the mid lane. As we see, actually, I thought it might just be an even trade, but it looks like with the way NLE is positioning, they're wanting to get scrappy, as I think this could be what they're looking for.
Calm doesn't have the fear charged up right now. Dragon is down to about 50%. Piglet is here now. Is going to toss out the Nature's Grasp. They're looking for the team fight on the side of the Kittens. They root up the front line, but Longshot Larry and 200 Years staying safe for now. The smite goes to the Sejuani as Yerdmeister moves back in to steal the Seraphine ultimate. Is beautiful, and it's going to be the Vex trying to get the work done. Phantasma hitting. The Jinx gets excited. Phantasma looking to carry through the team fight. Coconut Doggy is going to get taken down, but Phantasma still hitting. Longshot Larry, though, able to take down the Jinx. Eventually, the Vex Calm takes down the Kaisa as well, but it is going to be the objective plus the team fight for mid Cryptic.
Wow. I mean, I kind of thought it would go the exact opposite way, to be honest. I thought that with the positioning, I thought that they had the advantage. Maybe it was just the fact that they were behind that tempo, right? They went for those grubs, so they are moving into kind of the position that where they don't want to be, right? We talked about it even in draft phase. That team, they don't want to be the ones who are advancing in. They want to be the person who is there first. They want to hold their ground because it's a disengage comp. They're a hold the ground. And you look at it, this is just the opportunity that Mint needs to go in. They find the angle and they capitalize. And they get a really, really nice team fight win there.
They absolutely do. Credit to them for seeing that angle like you're talking about. Now we'll see. I mean, so the objectives have been traded completely evenly so far. We had the 3 grubs for each side, and now we have 1 dragon for each side. You know, there's a couple of more kills for the side of Cryptic right now, but the gold is pretty much dead even. So we're still in a very even game state right now. But I am starting to think about, you know, how these compositions are going to look as we progress further on into the game, Badger. And I do feel like we said earlier, you know, right after the draft, it feels like the Kittens have the easier to execute composition. So we're going to need to see the side of Cryptic continue to find those angles, right? Continue to take those proactive fights to really get themselves the lead I think that they need with this draft.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it is on who, you kind of call it cat and mouse a little bit, or like whose turn is it on the Rift, right? Who is going to say like, okay, we're taking this objective, all right, we're going to make something happen on the other side of the map. It's a little bit delayed, right? So you kind of went back and forth there. I talk about it, but the fact that NLE, they went for the grubs, that was their turn. They executed on it, and they were kind of trying to go out of turn a little bit there. They were trying to make that play, so it's a disadvantage. And look
Prison not going to land this time, but Phantasma still in trouble. The Jinx does have the flash, but she is going to use it now after the Wild Growth comes in, and Calm with a massive Vex ultimate onto 3 as well. The Seraphine ultimate does come out, but it only gets the charm onto 1. Phantasma has to be careful, stepping off too far forward there as Longshot Larry still holding on to the killer instinct, but can't use it into everybody on the side of the Kittens there. They're just going to be the 1 kill back over to the Kittens.
Not too bad. I mean, you take the opportunity, you capitalize on it, right? I thought, didn't that start out with a pick potentially? Oh, hang on. I guess
yeah, it was Yerdmeister was looking with a Glacial Prison was how that started.
I mean, you talk about it, right? I guess it's the exact opposite, right? We see that they're engaging in, they have the position, they're grouped up as buddies. They're Thunder buddies, right? They're holding strong and they're able to thwart the engage attempt from the side of Mint Gaming. It's what we're seeing, and these people are executing on their comps, and we're kind of finding out it's whoever's taken, not using the strength of their comp is the one who's getting punished. So I'm seeing a theme. I'm wondering if it's going to stay around. I'm hoping, because that would be like, oh gosh, I'm the greatest. I know my stuff, but still, I think that's what I'm wanting to see, and I'm wanting to see who the people that slip up don't play around what their comp is strong at. I think that's what's gonna be the deal breaker here for this game.
Absolutely. Very important piece of League of Legends, right? It is a pretty complex game with a lot of factors at play, but I think one of the most fundamental aspects of it is understanding how, when, and why you're strong, right? So being able to fight at the correct times, knowing what you need to play for with any given draft, that is really, in fewer words, what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at it right now, just the way these lanes have ended up playing out. I will say, I think the good side of it is Seraphine has some gold on her. Also, Sejuani has a bounty on her, right? You're seeing it is on the utility.
Looking. Calm, not going to find the Shadow Surge this time around, but the
Space
Rel
Beard.
crashdown does get interrupted. Space stepping onto the Flame Chompers. Rel in trouble. Oh, the Super Mega Death Rocket, I don't think is going to be claiming the kill just yet, as Phantasma actually not willing to fire it off. Not thinking he got the Rel quite low enough to look for the kill there, but certainly still a health advantage for the Kittens as they move into the topside river. They want to play for this Rift Herald right now. Dragon is also spawning soon as Apprehend barely not going to land for Z.
I mean, it looks like that Cryptic they are backing off. They are conceding this Rift Herald. They are saying, hey, we did take a little bit of a disadvantage in that trade. We had to burn a little bit. I think actually the only thing you had to burn, actually maybe I'm completely wrong, is
they're still looking space. Looks for the crash. I'm just interrupted again by the Vex Sphere, and the Rel's looking to be taken down first. And remember, it's a reset competition. The Fate Shield is massive though from the Yone, and now it's Phantasma going to get taken down as well. It's another huge fight for Mint. Cryptic Maokai will be the last to fall. I take it back. It's going to be Z, who is, of course, the last to fall. It's a double kill for the Yone and a triple kill for Larry. Full house for Mint Cryptic.
Long shot Larry is looking really, really scary right now. Getting that triple kill. I think a lot of what made that fight end up working out so well for them is the fact the target that died first was the Vex. She was the target who has the most gold on the side of NLE right now, right? She picked up 2 kills in that early dragon fight. They capitalize, they find the angle onto Calm, and they strike, right? That is a clean fight. I think, did they get the objective as well? I'm pretty sure.
It was actually the Kittens that got the smite on the Rift Herald before getting aced in the team fight. So the Herald did not go over to Cryptic, but they are going to get the Dragon off the back end of that one.
Yeah. I think it's honestly for tempo. You think about the objectives on the map. I think Herald is, maybe she's not everybody's favorite, so she can get some stuff done, especially if it is given to this Darius, maybe. He's still relatively strong. He has his Shojin build, but you look at it now, that early lane that we talked about, the Yone that was behind, I'm not seeing it behind Yone anymore. He's 3-1-1, has his Bork complete already. You kind of joke about the Irelia with Vamp Scepter being full build. I kind of joke about a Yone with Bork being full build. When you get that item, you are a monster. I know I paused. I had to take a deep breath to say monster, because you are so strong. You can put on so much pressure on this side. You have the sustain to deal with these range damage dealers, and it's looking really good if you are just gank mid. I mean,
absolutely it is. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier the fact that gank mid played the Yone in the match last week as well, and had the most damage in that game on the Yone. So we're gonna have another one of those performances. I mean, it really was the Yone's ultimate that turned the tide in that last team fight, right? The fact that he was able to connect that onto Calm's Vex really felt like that was what salvaged that fight for the side of Cryptic.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I do want to give the respect that is due to Mr. Yerdmeister, right? Sitting at 0-0-10, got his hard seal already. I feel like maybe other than that one Glacial Prison miss mid, and I guess say that 1v2, but like other than that, I feel like he's been doing a lot here. I think he's been finding the angles that he needs. He's finding the Glacial Prisons that he needs on the primary targets, and it's working out, right? Lulu doesn't have her Mikhails. She's not able to realistically protect the targets, and Jinx has Cleanse. So you hit the Vex, you hit who you need, and the trees are just rooting around, I guess. But
yeah, there's, some nature in the mid lane. But unfortunately for Piglet, Mint were not in the mid lane at that moment, so just some trees existing. If a nature grasps in the forest, but nobody is around to be grasped, was nature something like that?
I knew what you were saying. I knew. Oh.
And there's a Glacial Prison is also going to get sent to Narnia.
I guess he said otherwise. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention the fact that we have an Otacon that is being taken right now by Mint Cryptic. and it looks like that's not going to be contested. The Nature's Grasp is on cooldown. The Glacial Prison is also, but I guess that doesn't really matter as Calm, yeah, is also in trouble. It's looking like the Vex might be next after Otacon goes down. Calm trying to reposition there with the Shadow Surge and the Flash, but still going to get taken out. Not going to be able to get away. Seraphine ultimate onto 2. Piglet underneath the turret trying to get away. The Maokai on a blinking health bar will be able to walk that one off. Thankfully for the side of the Kittens, there wasn't a wave crashing at that exact moment as the Seraphine ult landed, or there would have been a few more kills over for Cryptic. They're going to be able to get the turret at least, as well as the Otacon, and they've got themselves a nice little lead now for the side of Mint.
So, I would say I'm usually not a proponent. I mean, there's siege in this tower now, but I'm not a proponent of taking the Voracious Otacon early. Look at this.
Diving past the tier 2. The Sejuani is going to get withdrawn, but that is something that you're able to do with the Otacon buff, right?
Darius.
So, Sejuani sacrificing herself to
TP
get
behind.
the tier 2. TP behind, as you say. That's going to be Calm coming in on the Vex. Space is going to be sacrificed to try to get the carries out to safety, but it's not even a true death. Remember, the Rel had the Otacon buff as well, so it's just a couple of withdraws, and I think that the side of Cryptic are happy getting that tier 2 turret. They're going to get the tier 1 mid as well, although Gank mid might have a hard time getting away. Sidestep on the Shadow Surge. The Yone does have Flash, but he's probably just going to accept the withdraw. That is going to come through. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Z3 going to get glacially prisoned and taken down by Larry. 7-1 now on the Kaisa.
She's screaming that 7 as, I mean, yeah, we're just looking at it. The gold is where you need it to be if you are Mint Cryptic right now, right? You got it. You got the gold on the Kaisa. You got the gold on the Seraphine. Yone, that's where you want it, right? Rel's hanging out too. Maybe not with gold, but like she's there and she's doing the engaging that her team needs. And you're just seeing it. I wanted to talk about it. I was gonna say normally, I'm stuck on this, so I gotta say, I don't like taking Voracious Otacon when it spawns. I think it gains a lot more value if you kind of try to stagger it so you have it when Baron is up. I would say Calm was, but said otherwise. I would say I don't know how he ended up in that position where he did, but he did make it so that Voracious Otacon got a lot more value than I think it normally should that early on, but ended up working out for him.
I think it seems to me at least that the side of the Kittens just had no idea that Otacon take was happening, right? Nobody else was really moving over there, and yeah, I don't know why Calm would walk forward in the lane like that if he knew that so many members of Cryptic were in the Otacon area, just, you know, right over the little wall there. So definitely seems like the side of the Kittens kind of just getting caught with their
drawers
their claws in. Yeah, exactly.
Their claws in, their claws in, drawers down,
didn't
basically.
Oh
yes. I guess cats don't really wear pants that often. Yeah.
So well, some do. There are some, high-profile cats that have worn pants.
That's true. But... Yeah. I think Puss in Boots. No, he only wears boots. Actually, wait.
No,
that's like his name. He only wears boots. But anywho, I mean, you see the situation at hand, and it's like we're sitting at about a 5K gold lead. And I mean, technically we talked about the strength of the Kittens comp, obviously, but I just think the gold is kind of, it's not there. Like I always like to use this saying, I basically use it every time. Wallet diff is a very scary thing in League of Legends, right? You can have the comp, but if you don't have the money to back it up, if you don't have the items to back up what you're saying, it's tough. And you see the completed Infinity Edge for the Yone, the Leandries for the Seraphine, the Ginsus for the Kaisa. I mean, hey, Jinx has her 2 items too, and 2 items are on some of these carries, but it's tough. It's tough from this point.
It definitely is. Yeah, the last several fights have gone the way of Cryptic. They do find themselves on Chemtech's Soul Point now as well. Pretty much everything in their favor. They have been able to consistently, successfully execute these dives, and they've been able to take down Calm in particular. It seems like has a little bit of a target on his back, as they are really looking to focus down the Vex at the start of a lot of these fights. It's been working extremely well for him.
I will say a downside is being exposed here from this potential comp, right? If you are behind split pushers, the side lane pressure that comes from these kind of dive, engage, like wanting to make the play when numbers are there, it's going the way of Cryptic, right? Yone is putting so much pressure on this side lane, and I think at this point, Yone is going to easily win this isolated 1v1 against the Darius. If Piglet shows up, if the Maokai shows up, I think it still might be Yone favored. So I'm just playing it out as I think some spectator stuff was making my stream a little funky, but I mean, yeah, it's just they're doing a good job of not kind of playing into what Kittens need. They need a straight 5v5. They need to find a way to make them come in, but they're just playing the map super, super well here.
They definitely are. You know, and it goes back earlier as well to what we were talking about with, you know, understanding the strengths of your composition. You know, I agree they're prioritizing the right things. They know when they're strong on the map, right? And they've been able to find advantages in those moments. So credit to them. Cryptic been playing this one out quite well, but we still need to see them finish, right? There's still some strong scaling elements for this Kittens draft. You never know when Jinx just gets that first kill in the fight and, you know, somebody on Cryptic could overstep a little bit, and we know that Phantasma can, you know, be that X factor, can be that difference maker. So it's not over till it's over, but definitely Mint Cryptic in a fantastic place to try to secure this game 1 victory.
But Calm is not in a fantastic place right now, as
You're
he, I think
absolutely
he's...
right.
Oh, movement
Yeah,
though.
ooh, Triple Fury is very nice, but still the Shattering Strike is going to be there. Calm is going to go golden. He's trying to remain calm. He's trying to carry on. He's going to flash over the wall. He has a Shadow Surge that's going to connect onto 200 years, but he's still going to get killed off by Larry.
Yone top here.
In there, but the side of the Kittens are going to be able to find the cross map as they 2v1. They take down just Gank. And we've got an honest 4v4 on Summoner's Rift right now, but Cryptic are trying to pressure towards this bottom side. They already got the tier 2, though. They're not willing to commit to the tier 3. They know that Baron could be a possibility. But I don't know if the side of the Kittens could really have taken it fast enough. I feel like maybe you could have taken the inhibitor there, honestly. But maybe it's just a case of Cryptic not having perfect information, right? Not knowing where everybody was.
Maybe it's also my ill will. I think in that point, you're not thinking, you're knowing this game is in a bad spot. You are down 2 Drakes. The enemy team is on soul point. I think if you're getting a massive kill like that on Yone when Calm is buying that much time, I think you try to go for it there. Maybe it is like they are still wanting to play it. They do. I think if this game goes hyper late, that this Jinx with the Lulu is still going to be really scary. But I think that you don't get a lot of opportunities like that, especially against this team that's pretty far ahead. So as they're actually starting it now.
So they're making the call that Cryptic are going to want to play for the Dragon Soul. As Z3 trying to get some lockdown onto Larry, but the Kaisa able to walk that one off for now. As in comes the Seraphine Ultimate across the Magnet Storm, and Z3 just gets absolutely obliterated. The Fate Sealed over the top as well. They take down the enemy jungler, and now Calm is just a Vex out of water. It's going to be 3 quick ones over to Cryptic, and they're ready to put the finishing touches on game number 1.
Yeah, I think that might be the final curtain. That might be what it is, the nail in the coffin, I guess, to kind of put this game under wraps, right? You just see it, and I think it's a little ill-advised, right? I talked about, hey, you can go for Baron, not when the enemy team's right there. I think you go for it when they're on the bot lane play. They're making that angle happen. His long shot, Larry.
Looking for Phantasma here. The Wild Growth is not available, and the Jinx is going to get taken down. Coconut Doggy as well, slowed up by the Winter's Wrath, and the ace is completed. 18-6 now on the board, Soul secured, and this one is definitely now all but over.
It's mean, and it's green. The Chemtech Soul. It's one that some people like. I think it has a lot of value, especially with the comp that the Cryptids have assembled. I don't know if they meant for that to happen, but I mean, you look at it, yeah, and we talked about the grasps and the angles that we might be seeing for Kittens to get back into this. I'm not really seeing them anymore. Space.
Yeah, no, I think the door has officially been closed at this point, as the Maokai going to get taken down trying to defend his tier 2 in the mid lane. Meanwhile, the top lane 1v1, just Gank, he is going to win out in the 1v1, takes down the Darius, and this mid inhibitor going to get sieged up. 5v3 on the map right now for Cryptic.
You can call Zed, or I guess Z3, Zed, a lot of things. KDA player, that's not one of them. He is willing to play it out. He's trying to find his angles back into it, and that's a Jinx rocket, but they are very, very tanky.
That's the Chemtech Soul. Yeah, the shielding coming out from the Seraphine there just mitigated a lot of that burst damage that Calm was able to do. You know, if only the, as you say, wallet diff wasn't so significant, would have been a really great angle for Calm there, right? But they're just a little bit too far behind.
I mean, I just look at the situation and I'm thinking, hey, we saw there were angles here that where this comp had moments of shining, right, from the side of NLE, right? We saw it. Like, they're making these plays, they're getting a little too over aggressive. The Jinx, the Lulu, they're able to kite it out, they're able to do the damage, and it's just, I think we just see it. I talked about the theme of the game. Who is playing out of turn? Who is not playing for what they want? And Phantasm, oh, now I guess Chompers are the greatest ability of all time. He's able to get out, especially with the Lulu, but I mean, yeah, just looking at it and echoing off of it, the fact they're kind of not playing where they need to be. They're playing into these fights, and we just saw that the side of the Mints, they got the engages that they needed. They clutched
The
up
last
when
gas.
needed.
Piglet tosses out the Nature's Grasp. They're trying to engage onto the Vex, but the Vex are already going to get taken down. You know, on the top side of the fight, Darius trying to make something happen. He does get those passive stacks up, and there are a couple of health bars that did get extremely low. Larry is going to get taken down just barely, but now it's only the Lulu who's left on the side of the Kittens, and the Lulu is not going to be able to save this one. So 31.5 minutes on the clock, and that is going to do it for game number 1.
I think that is a very, very strong showing from the Cryptids, right? Technically, it's not over till the Nexus explodes, but I'm going to be with you here, crew. They're calling it here. They're making the play on the Coconut. They want a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it was a very, very clean showing from honestly, all of the members here. I didn't see any member of the Cryptid that really stuck out as in bad. I think they all stuck out for good. As we see it, like, look at that. The Sejuani 2-0-16, the Seraphine 3-0-18.
Yeah.
This team, they played to their win condition flawlessly, and I need to see what the response is here for Kittens.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there was kind of that one oopsie early on for Yerdmeister where V3 was able to get the first blood in the 1v2 towards the top lane there. But besides, after that, it really felt like there were those couple of team fights, like around the second Grubs and the second Dragon, I believe, that really did end up going, or maybe it was just the second Dragon fight that I'm thinking of, that really went Cryptic's way. And once they had that lead, they never let go of it. They were very controlled throughout the rest of that game.
Oh yeah. I also think another big fight, we talked about it, that kind of like jumps out to me is the Herald fight, right? We saw that they were taking it. They found the opportunity. They kind of pincered in this team. They want, if you are the side of NLE, you want at least some area to move with, and we saw that Mint, they closed in like an Oreo. I see it. The cookies are coming in and they're squeezing the cream. They are making it so there is no way for this team to escape. They get the pincer, they get the fate sealed, they get the glacial prison, and it doesn't matter how much anti-dash, how much anti-dive you have. That is prime time conditioning, and that is exactly what they needed. So really, just overall great showing, great execution of your comp.
Absolutely. Who is your POG for this one, Badger? And if we were going to award one for the side of Mint Cryptic for that performance, who would get it for you?
My Pog would probably actually, I know it wasn't the flashiest, I would give it to Yerdmeister, Big Yerd. I know we talked about it, that Darius did get that kill on that gank. I just think every time I saw the engages, I saw he was buying space, he was finding the targets that he needed. And it got to the point where in those crucial fights, he was the difference maker that it didn't matter anymore that if he hits his primary targets. His carries are so far ahead from the fights that he was able to set up for his team that I think he just put the game on his back and he just said, all right. He's like, have you ever seen that clip of Master Splinter where he's like holding the little Ninja Turtles? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
And
yeah.
it's like, it's basically that was Yerdmeister, and then the next image is his carries. As he's still grown, he's still Master Splinter, but he's basically built up his Ninja Turtles to get to the point. And that's kind of how I viewed Yerd. I think he deserves player of the game for that.
I like it. Always down to go for the jungle vote. But I'm loving the Master Splinter metaphor as well. That's really doing it for me, Badger. So very happy to give Yerdmeister the POG for that one. Sejuani engages were definitely instrumental and hard to argue with a 0 in the death column. Definitely. So looking good there. But everybody on the side of Mint Cryptic, you know, fresh off their rebrand, their switch to the new organization, they're coming out guns blazing in this one. Clearly, that seems to have done some good for them. And if they're able to take the win off of the Kittens tonight, they would, of course, then be tied right there up at the very top of the standings for Sector 2, unless, of course, the other Mint team picks up the win tonight. That would send them to 6. But we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, of course, as the side of Cryptic have not managed to actually secure the match win just yet. They need to find another nexus to make that happen. Go ahead, Badger.
I will say we got to slow our roll a little bit, right? We saw there were still some glimmers of hope for this NLE Kittens roster. I'm not throwing them out. I've seen what Calm can do.
Right,
Maybe not
right.
on Vex, but on other stuff, yes. Like I still think you look at it and we're gonna have to see. I mean, draft's starting, but I'm wanting to see. I don't know if Vex was one of his primary targets. I know you still played 600 games, but I still want you to be playing on the games where you played majority of those 600 games. Still, I want to see him on the Comfort. I want to see him on the Zillion, the Lux. Those are the champions that I've heard legends of from this guy. I want to see you potentially play around that.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they do decide to go a different direction in the mid lane in particular for the side of the Kittens in the second game. You know, they have, as we can see here, decided to make the swap over to the blue side for this second game. So let's see, are there bans? They're going to ban away the Kaisa from Larry this time around. They don't want a repeat there.
The
They're
Sedge
going to
too.
continue the Sedge as well. Absolutely right. For the side of Mint, they banned Rakan, Oriana, and Mel in the previous game, so they're going to leave the Mel open, and they're going to ban away the Lulu instead, but it's the Zyra that's first picked by the Kittens.
Yeah, I think Zyra is one of those champions. She's really strong, right? I think we talked about a little bit those B1 junglers. That's one of them for me. I think right now my jungler Burby, he's a big proponent of this champion. She's super strong, and she also enables if you're playing a little bit more around that AD mid style. She can bleed that solo AP. She can play this disengage style, and look at that, Jinx is back. But this time it is Mint that is going to be piloting it. Larry wants his turn.
Yeah, I think I did mention earlier as well the fact that both of these AD carries are known Jinx players. They both have pulled it out previously this season. So Larry, it was a great performance on the Kaisa in game number 1. They banned it away from him, so he's going to go ahead and take the Jinx for himself. And that certainly would be a statement if then Larry can win with the pick that Phantasma was piloting in the previous game. And the side of Myth, they're going to take the Maokai as well. So that's the exact same 1-2 that the Kittens had in the previous draft.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect, crew. I mean, I'm
That's
looking at it
crazy.
and I'm saying you're gonna lock the exact same bot lane that we thumped you with. That's kind of crazy. I mean, but we talk about a good response there. Xayah does have, actually, I was gonna say she has that disengage proponent, but I'm looking at it. Jinx and Maokai, they're when you look at, I think it's interesting. Maybe that is your comfort into this, but I think a lot of champions that jump out to me, Sivir is really strong into the Jinx, the Twitch. I love the Rat. I love to see him, but he's not going to be the option as Xayah, as well as the big hook man himself is going to get locked in for the Kittens.
Yeah, interesting. Oh, definitely some lockdown potential there where you can combo the dredge line with the blade caller. You know, I definitely could see it for the side of the Kittens with that bot duo, but the Xayah does stand out as a bit of a weird selection for me as well, Badger. You know, it feels like Xayah really wants to be playing against champions that want to dive forward, right, and kind of put themselves in position to get pulled by the feathers. But, you know, Jinx Maokai don't really fit that bill. You know, they're really more of kind of stand back and let the fight come to them kind of characters. So we'll see what kind of work the Xayah is going to be able to get done in this one. But the Seraphine is going to come through here once again. So that is likely going to be 200 years playing the pop star for the second game in a row.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about it. Mel, she did get banned in that first phase, eventually makes it to that 4-5 as Kennen and Gwen are going to be the responses here for NLE. They're trying to make it so that top laner, he doesn't get his comfort. I've seen it, and they want to potentially, they're saying, hey, you're probably going to go with an AD mid. I think they're wanting to flex. Is Yone banned? Yone is not. Maybe they're just playing anti-Yone. That comp over there, I wouldn't want to play Yone into it. Guy gank mid, he was pretty good at it, so I mean, maybe that is their goal. It works with the Seraphine as Gnar is the answer in response.
Okay, so that is certainly going to be the top lane selection. I don't think we're going to be seeing Gnar mid or anything like that. So presumably the Yone is now off the table. Although maybe maybe we want to see the side of the Kittens actually pull it out if they would like to. It doesn't really seem like Yone would love playing against what Mint Cryptic have drafted so far either, but he is kind of a nonsense champion. Maybe you just want a little bit of nonsense thrown in there. It's going to be his brother, actually, that gets locked away here, Badger.
actually think it's better. I do think it is better than the Yone here, because they're brothers. Obviously, they have a lot of stuff that's similar in their kit. I do think if you're playing this hyper disengage, you know what kind of stops a lot of that disengage? If you could just blink immediately to him, right? And you look at it, the Windwall gets so much value here. The Maokai, the Seraphine, the Jinx Rocket. I think mainly it's the Maokai Seraphine, but I think it's not bad. And if Calm plays it, it works. And Irelia to pair it up, that is a great matchup in Nara, actually. I'm going to be honest, I was very, very much in favor of Mint's draft at the first 3. I really, really like that Yasuo Irelia pairing. I think it kind of fixes a lot of the issues the comp had, and I just want to see what the response is from Mint.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. You know, Z obviously took the aggressive side of the matchup in the previous game with the Darius, so seeing him in on the Irelia this time around should definitely be very exciting. And Nivea is going to be the R5 selection that I assume is going to be leaning against the Yasuo. Or no, wait. Either Anivia or Seraphine is going support. They're probably flexing the Seraphine, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it could go either way. I know this Anivia champion sometimes shows up top. Maokai, I guess, well, Maokai is the only champion who can jungle for Mint, so I guess that locks him there. I'm just thinking about it. I guess you could go that Seraphine mid route again. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Mint mid laner who's going to be piloting the bird. I also think, so technically Yasuo also does well into Gnar. You could kind of say, hey, who do we want to match the bird? Who are we gonna give the bad lane to? And who are we gonna give the really good lane to? So I think if you are the side of the Kittens, I think you try to take the Yasuo into the Gnar. I think take it away from the bird. Maybe say, Irelia, you have a little bit more early game damage before Anivia hits her 6. You are scary. You got your Q passive resets. Or not your Q passive, your Q. What am I talking about? But I don't know. I think the lane is tough. I just like the blink ability. I like there are a ton of knockups. The Zyra and the Nautilus are the freest Yasuo ult I've ever seen. It's on paper. I know we talk about it like paper draft. Mints I think is easier to execute, but I like the sauce. I like what Kittens has brought to the table, and if Yasuo executes, it's gonna be fun to watch. And I know, crew, you're gonna have a fun time casting it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a wild time. Definitely, we're probably gonna be looking at some explosive fights here, particularly if the Kittens have anything to say about it, right? It really does feel in a lot of ways, I think, like the reverse of what these teams were playing in the previous game, right? With the side of Mint Cryptic having the more explosive kind of dive composition where they're looking to blow open the fights, and NLE Kittens were playing kind of the more defensive kite back and team fight front to back kind of style. It feels like those rules are reversed this time around.
Mm-hmm. The only, I guess, sore thumb, we talked about it a little bit. I think Xayah doesn't have as good of a place in the comp comparatively to the rest of the team. I just think maybe, I mean, Zaya, not Zyra. I think Zyra's working great. Xayah, it's because I'm looking at it and it's like Zyra, she can kind of play on the edge. She can provide those knockups. Xayah wants him to come in, wants him to move into her. And who on that roster is moving into a Xayah? Like with the way the rest of the team is played out. So it's a lot on Phantasma. He is high ranked. He's got the hands. He's gonna be having to be a little bit creative with how he's gonna make it happen.
Yeah, it is definitely gonna be interesting to see how Phantasma is able to play this one out. Xayah, I think, has kind of been memed by procasters a lot. Definitely a pretty divisive pick. So it would be really interesting to see what Phantasma was able to get done on. Do we have some stats maybe that I could find for Phantasma? Yeah, not really a Xayah main by any means. I don't really see too much here. He's got a few games on it from last split, but it's not really a comfort pick. That's not really what we're looking at here necessarily. So maybe just feeling like he really wanted the Featherstorm into like Maokai Ultimate, but we'll have to see. Well, Phantasma is gonna have to show us what he really had in mind with this pick, I think. Overall, Badger, how you feeling about the draft? You were saying that you're leaning more towards the Kitten side just with those last couple of lock-ins.
I mean, I said it last time. It's weird because I said it for the Kittens last time. They were playing the opposite comp, like you talked about. They were playing that more disengaged comp. But I'm just looking at it, and I'm seeing the sauce. I'm seeing the spice that they might need to get back into the series. And I think the Yasuo gives them it a little bit. I think also paired with that Irelia, it's a great matchup. That Irelia Gnar matchup, it is so annoying to play if you're Gnar. I'm leaning the Kittens. No way I'm wrong twice, right? It's not possible. So, but that's nothing
Surely
against
not.
Mint. But I want to see the spicy comp win.
Well, the Spicy Comp won the last game, so we'll have to see if that is going to ring true once again, or if it is going to be the newly rebranded Mint Cryptic that might be picking up the 2-0. We'll see in just a little while, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back onto the Rift after this. All right, everybody, welcome onto the Rift. Once again, our second game of the night. Going to be Mint Cryptic up 1-0 right now in this best of 3. They're on the red side this time around, and of course, NLE Kittens on the blue, seeing if they can turn this series around.
I feel like it's the whole swap, right? The whole swap-a-rooski, right? The teams, they swapped comps, they swapped sides. They are saying we want a fresh start if we are NLE. But if you're Cryptic, you're saying, hey, we're going to do what you did, but we're going to do it way better this time. So I'm so excited. I think, just like I said, I like how both these comps play. I think Anivia is a spicier one. I think she has her moments, and I think she has her niche. She fits well with what they want, so has that R5 value. But another champ we were kind of hinting at maybe being a little bit interesting was the Phantasma Zaya. I will say he has the stats to back it up. He has been doing a lot. He's been playing it as well in the LXC, and I believe he's been putting up some pretty good numbers. So maybe it might not be the ideal pick for his comp, but comfort-wise, Phantasma, that's his champ. This is his bread and butter.
Yeah, we definitely were able to find a few Zaya games from Phantasma this season in the LXC, and there were some pretty good performances. Like you say, Badger, I believe there was a 6-3 and 18 game, and then there was a 6-0 game as well against a Contingent Black, so definitely has found a good amount of success with the Bird Lady this season. We'll have to see if this is going to be another one. Does need it to be a win, right? Phantasma does, in order to get us to that game number 3.
I mean, yeah, you're just looking at how the lanes talk about it. I always like to say, hey, how are these junglers pathing, right? What is going to be their first move? How are they going to try to start that snowball effect here on the Rift? Is Zyra, I guess it is the 2 plants, but Zyra a lot faster. Oh, look at that hook. I thought it was going to connect, but not this time. As we're looking at, I think Zyra has a much faster clear than Maokai does. She is more known as the power farmer. She wants to be that AP damage dealer here, so she is going to get first move, but Maokai, he is that support. He's got the CC for days, so I think it could go either way as they're both pathing down into this bot lane, so we might be seeing some action early. I'm hoping.
We may be. For the side of Phantasma and Coconut Doggy, they do have the range disadvantage, right? Obviously, it's a double range bottom lane for the side of Cryptic. So the Jinx Seraphine, as we could see down there, we're able to get that wave pushed out. It is going to bounce back. So we'll see if there's going to be a window for Piglet to try to help set something up down there. That is an area where Nautilus can be really powerful, right? And having that gank set up for the jungler if Piglet does decide to make a visit down there. But as you mentioned, Yurdmeister's also going to be on this side of the map, so it could be dangerous.
That was a bit of a field goal, as I like to call it, right from the Coconut Doggy there. I mean, you do hit it. You hit one, and it's going to be there in pain if you are the junglers, as said jungler, but look at the top lane trading here. We talk about that lane advantage that Irelia has into the Gnar. You only have one jump, and Irelia, she has as many as there are minions on the board. And look at this here. We see Zyra is a little bit ahead of tempo. She is on the scuttle now. And look, she's moving in. She's trying to see if she can find the tree.
They're going to be able to complete the full clear. Piglet trying to get some information now, as you say. Not going to actually find Yurdmeister, just going to find a bunch of empty jungle camps. We're going to go for the reset now. Maokai, actually. We'll see if Yurdmeister is going to be able to get to that North River to secure the crab up there, or if it is going to be a double crab for Piglet.
I will say one advantage of Yurd going top here is a lot of those wards. I don't know if you're looking bot. That bot river is lit up like it is Christmas Eve. Like we are seeing it. There is nothing that is out of mind from the side of the Cryptic team here. There are 5 wards down there, and actually, I say that, and Zyra, she finds her tempo, and she finds the way to get that second crab, so double scuttle, basically GG. I mean, how play? You can't do it.
That's right. That is when you type the FF vote as the jungler. 100% agree. So it looks like we are going to that game number 3. It's very, very nice, very exciting banner. No, just kidding. One thing that I did want to mention, though, actually, is we've discussed a couple of times on the podcast this formerly UK and now Mint Cryptic squad. And they are, in fact, the Kings of Vision here in the LXC. I believe they have the highest average vision score of any
but look
team.
at that hook!
Oh, yeah, Coconut Doggy finding the dredge line as they don't want me to talk about vision anymore. They're looking for kills instead. Longshot Larry trying to flash away, trying to stay alive, and just barely the Jinx will survive underneath the turret, burning both summoners to do so.
Hey, crew, would you say that fight was close? Wait, did you say
no,
that?
not really.
I'd say that wasn't close by a long shot here for Larry, as he's
No.
able to get out with his thumb's burned, but he is not seeing the gray screen, which is super nice to see. It does stink, though. You are down a good amount of farm. You're down 12, basically. As Xayah, she does get the tempo that she wants. We're going to go for another hook, so I was a little scared, but nothing this time.
Yeah, really, Phantasma and Doggy do want the reset here. Space, able to get a little bit of a delay there. Well, Coconut Doggy tossing out the hook just in case maybe they could find something a little bit more, but the Seraphine was pretty close to her turret, so not really under too much threat. But I was rudely interrupted a minute ago, Badger. I wanted to mention the fact that Mint Cryptic are the Vision Kings of the league. They have placed 454 pink wards this season before tonight's match started. And, they have an average vision score of 3,800. That stat is a little bit nebulous. They are looking to contest a dragon right now. Maybe we'll get back to that in a moment. Piglet,
I mean, hey,
off on the side.
You got to be telling that to
vision?
my team. We got to be placing more control wards. But look at that, they take the dragon, and wasn't really much of a fight. As Calm is looking.
He is looking. Doesn't quite land the tornado, though. They are going to flash in for Piglet. Gets the root down onto Yerdmeister, who flashes over the wall to try to get away, and will be successful. So a trade of flashes there between the junglers. Objective does go to Mint Cryptic.
I've never seen a higher value win wall before, as Calm is showing the strength of this champion here. He gets to the lane. He gets the value. He's got it all under control. This is Yasuo's... He hasn't died yet, so I guess it isn't comfort zone, but he's doing all right.
Yeah, he definitely is. So, you were talking about how that matchup against the Anivia was going to be really difficult for either the Yasuo or the Irelia, right? But like you say, Calm has been able to weather that storm, as it were, quite nicely.
Mm-hmm. He's been getting through the Glacial Storm, the ultimate of all ultimates here. It is actually Glacial Storm. I guessed. I think I'm just goated. But look at this. The trading is coming out. You have that win wall, getting the trades that you want. It's not bad. A lot of times it is overlooked. Yasuo's laning is really strong a lot of times. You just get to kind of make the plays when you want. If you have minions, you can go in. You can get your stacks of flow. You can use wind wall. I don't know why you're taking a tower shot, but that's besides the point. Is you're going to level up, and with that, Piglet's already got those grubs prepped, and this is going to be a take it over to the side of NLE.
Yeah, a little bit delayed, more so than we usually see, but we are going to see that early neutral trade come through in the end. Those first few grubs going to go over. It feels great for the Irelia Yasuo composition, right? You definitely want to be playing for side lanes later on, so getting those grubs, feeling pretty good.
Oh, the stun was going to come out. I thought Calm was going to be going for some spicy stuff, especially with Coconut Doggy also hanging out. Look, the Hex Flash is triggered.
There we go. Dredge line, just barely wide to the right.
Not this time, but looking at it top, you see the ults coming out.
Yeah, the Gnar into the wall for just gank, but Mega is expiring, so not really going to be able to force the issue. Z3 does have a couple of waves of a CS advantage right now over the Gnar, so both of those Kittens solo lanes in a pretty good spot as we move towards the mid game.
And I mean, you look at it, no kills have gone over, but with those early advantages we're seeing from kind of the strength of this lane, it's not 1,000 gold, but 700 gold just eclipsed over basically just even trading across the board. That's not bad. That's kind of where you want to be. You want to be etching out those early leads. You kind of want to say it's the opposite of kind of the rock that's in your shoe, right? It's starting out, it's not annoying immediately, but it's going to slowly get more and more annoying for you, and that gold lead's annoying. But look at the Maokai here. I want to talk, but I think it's your turn, crew.
Yeah, we do have Yerdmeister looking for the play. Nature's Grasp comes out, finds the root onto two. Seraphine over the top. Does it get the root down to Coconut Doggy? Tries to flash away, but can't get away from the super rocket of Larry. Jinx going to be able to claim the first blood, but now the side of the Kittens aren't done with this play just yet. Calm throws out the wind while they're trying to pin Yerdmeister down, but the Zyra ultimate not actually finding the knockup as the Maokai dodges away with Twisted Advance, still gets taken down, but it's going to be the Anivia zone control reign supreme as they take down Calm, and now Piglet and Phantasma forced to try and retreat. Zyra backsteps on the zap, but can't get away from the Iceberg. So 2 kills over the 200 years.
I mean, yeah, we look at it and look at the flash coming out top. It's
Ooh,
close.
The Gnar barely surviving as Z3 taking a turret shot there as well. Both top laners on the blinking health bar, but flash advantage now for the Irelia.
I mean, that's where you want to be, right? Irelia with flash advantage, you talk about it. If the Gnar is not able to position his waves like he needs to, right? If the Irelia ever gets control of the wave, Irelia's running him down. She's flash advantage. She's almost full build. I hinted at it last game, right? The Bork full build Irelia. It's scary. And I mean, we talk about it. There hasn't been a lot of interaction here from the junglers in this top lane and kind of just leaving Gnar out to dry. And I mean, it's not awful. It's only like, man, I guess 8 farm down. He's holding his ground, but I think Irelia, she's going to be kind of amassing a little bit of a lead. And that's something you can be playing around here if you are the Kittens.
Absolutely. You know, Z3 had honestly a reasonably good performance in game number 1 as well. It ended up being a pretty difficult game for the Kittens overall, but the Darius definitely had a strong lane at the very least. So good to see Z3 able to keep that up against, you know, Just Gank Mid, who we were talking as well, had a really great performance in the previous week. We know can be a really strong point as well for Mint Cryptic. So Z3 has kind of been getting the better end of these lanes so far tonight, although obviously Just Gank was able to pick up the win, which is what really matters.
I talked about it, right? The lane positioning here. The fact that Gnar is mega gives him a lot more safety, right? He's safe when he's in big mode, obviously, but look bot.
Coconut Doggy would like some safety right now. He's going to throw out the Death Charge. Nice little hook to get away from the Super Mega Death Rocket, but still going to get locked down by the Nature's Grasp, and that is going to be a kill gifted over to Larry's Jinx, number 2 of the game for Larry. And now, Cryptic, they're onto the Dragon. This would be their second if they can secure it. We do have Piglet waiting around. The Zyra has Flash, but it would be a one-way trip and is not going to commit for that one. And, oh, is going to have to burn the Flash anyways. And the Seraphine ultimate. Oh, nice wind wall coming out there from Calm to try to save the jungler, but it's not going to be enough in the end. 200 years locks him down and picks up kill number 3.
I mean, the plays are going the way of Cryptid right now, right? We talk about it. I kind of joke, I kind of don't. The Jinx already has more kills than the enemy Jinx did game 1, right? Already at 2. She made it. She's gotten there, and they're getting the grubs. They're getting the advantage that they need, and right now, Cryptid, they're playing to their win conditions. They are finding their angles, and it's just right now, Kittens aren't able to keep up.
Yeah, that's Mint Cryptic are in a great place. You know, the fact they're able to secure all 3 of that second round of grubs as well. They deny the 4 grub breakpoint from the Kittens again. Irelia in particular would have really loved to get that, but just not going to be possible for the Kittens in this one. At least Phantasma got most of these turret plates off the bot tier 1. We have the teleport coming in for 200 years. Anivia going to be able to clear out the remnants of this wave. We'll see if Phantasma can get that last plate in the next 30 seconds, but with Anivia here, odds are probably against.
I will say, the big benefit of Anivia is real hard to take her out of lane, right? She's going to have her ulti, and she's going to be like, all right, where'd your wave go? I'm just kidding, it's gone. As look at this, Gnar, he's in a bit of a pickle.
Right. He is. He is about half of a mega bar at the moment. The menu wave is getting cleared out, and he also has a jungler in the area. Who's trapped in here with who exactly? As Z3 tries to dash around to a bunch of minions, gets the passive stacked up, and then is going to probably die. As Irelia is actually surviving for a really long time, but Larry is here looking to clean up the fight. Yerdmeister is going to get taken down. The Flawless Duet, though, not quite going to connect onto the Jinx. And there is the cleanup. It does eventually come through. 2-for-1 trade, and it's going to be Mint Cryptic coming out with the better end of it.
Yeah, the gold lead is no longer in the favor of the, I guess, stronger laners. Larry showing up when nobody I was surprised. I'm like, what's he doing here? He gets the kills. He shows up when is needed. I mean, he is down farm, but the fact he's got 3 kills, right? It's put him at the point, actually, with the amount of CES Phantasma has, it's actually an even gold position here for these 80 carries. But right now I'm just looking at it. Larry's finding the ways to get the kills. He's playing around the fact he's down farm, and Phantasma's probably just sitting here. He's like, I'm just playing so well. It's oh, look at the stun!
Oh yeah, denies the back there from just gank. The Gnar with the counteracting wall up, try to get that CC down onto Z3, but the Gnar, he's gonna have flashback up in a second. Is he gonna be able to outplay this when he's running out of Mega? He tries to crunch away. You know he didn't have enough time to wait for the hop. It's just not gonna work out. Z3 with a nice punish, able to get one back for the side of the Kittens.
I mean, hey, that's a glimmer in the bottle, right? That is a angle of hope here. This Irelia, she has a lot of threat on the side, and Nivea is scary, but also, if Irelia gets fed enough, she's going to just be hanging out. She's going to be firing away. She's going to be slicing through these towers, and you got a lot of sideline pressure here. You got the Yasuo still, and Nivea and the Gnar, if Gnar is behind, they can't match evenly on this 1v1. They can hold it, but the advantage is still on the solo laners, especially if they get a little bit more gold in them. Obviously, Anivia has some kills on her, so it's a little tougher, but like it's only 400 gold deficit here from the side of Calm, so it's doable. This game is, even though it is 3-7, it is not out of the woodworks to say that Kittens are out of it.
It definitely is true, yeah. The Kittens still are going to have some angles in this one. They have actually retaken the gold lead after that solo kill from Z3, and obviously was able to get the turret as well. They're looking for the Herald now, looking like this is not going to be contested. They're actually going to get the bot tier 1 at the exact same time, so a lot of things falling on the map right now in favor of the Kittens.
I'm kind of wondering how that ended up happening, that the positioning, maybe it was just the tempo of Longshot Larry in space. They were kind of coming out of base, had a little bit of a weird time. I don't know if there were some items that needed to be completed, I'm looking at Jinx, she's got her Yuntal and the Zeal, so I'm going to guess that it wasn't a major item completion that they were specifically getting back on the map for. I think that might be a blunder of just like your tempo on the map and what you're giving away, because the fact you're able to get the bot tower and Rift feels kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. Really, I think probably what Cryptic were playing for is actually just this next Dragons. We do have a Hextech sold this game, Badger. And as we can see, you know, they weren't in time to contest the Herald, but Cryptic are in position in the river to go for the Dragon right now. Meanwhile, just gank mid, not in position in the river, is in fact pressuring the top tier 1 turret, but is about to get teleport back off cooldown. Won't have his Mega, though. The Mega is going to time out. And Calm also does have the teleport, so we'll see if the Kittens are going to be willing to force this fight. I feel like you have to. You can't be giving over Hextech Soul Point for free, right?
And I mean, look at it, right? I talked about the vision, but I mean, I don't know if that's going to matter. As we see, Nautilus is going in and the Charm to follow it.
Yeah, that Charm is going to connect onto Coconut Doggy. The Nautilus flashes away to stay alive. We'll be able to escape. That's Zyra ultimate down, though. Piglet toss that out to make sure his support could get out of that situation. Not going to have it for the Dragon fight. The wave gets cleared out by Cryptic, and they move into the river to contest.
So the positioning is awkward here.
The flash forward, yeah, your Meister directly into the Zyra E. Is going to toss out the Nature's Grasp, but very early, looking for the engager. Twisted advance forward, Bramble smash back, Coconut Doggy, no flash.
Here!
Takedown. The Nautilus first, but the knockup comes through, it sets up Calm, and then Yasuo dashing through the team fight. A couple of kills have gone over, but it's the side of Cryptic. They're fighting back. 200 years, though, in trouble off on the side. The flash forward for Calm. They look to take down the Anivia, but she had Egg. She buys the extra time, and the Gnar is here trying to keep the Egg alive. Can they do it? The Anivia gets taken down, but the team fight, it still might be won by Cryptic as Calm trying to take matters into his own hands. The Tornado takes down the Maokai, but now he's in a 1v2 against Just Gank and the Seraphine. A lot of bodies on the floor in the aftermath of that one. Just barely it's Cryptic that get the 4-for-1 fight.
I mean, I thought that fight was going to go a lot worse than what it ended up doing. I think the reason it ended up kind of being salvageable for the side of NLE, Calm got there first, right? Calm got there. He was able to get involved with his ultimate. He was able to get the damage off, and I honestly was thinking, I'm like, is this guy just going to get a penta? It didn't end up being the case, obviously, as he does have his Bork, the full item. Look, they both have full items, and she's got the Hole Breaker here. As I mean, yeah, I saw the angle. I saw the Yasuo dream scenario, and it ended up, he's feeling happy. He got some kills on the board, and he's now up a nice amount of gold, almost 1,000 under his pocket, so not bad.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good fight from the mid laner for the Kittens. That's somebody that we really did put a magnifying glass on at the top of the stream, right? As the mid laners, we felt like could be really a focal point for the squad. Definitely did a lot for them in that last fight. They were able to deny the soul point, so they got their first Hextech Dragon on the board now for the Kittens. This could be the start of a bit of a turnaround, as it
This
definitely, for the most part, has felt like Cryptic have coming away with the better end of a lot of these plays so
Look at
far this game.
They are echoing off of what Cryptic did at the start. They're starting this Otacon basically on spawn, but this time Mint is aware they are the ones who invented this trick, crew, as they're actually going to say, all right, we're taking the Otacon right now.
Yeah, and Z3 is not here. The Aurelia does not have teleport, so this is a 5v4 for Cryptic right now. They're just going to look to burn down the objective, and Piglet's not going to be able to get in there, so DY for Leash. Cryptic going to be able to pick that one up.
I mean, that's a big blunder, right? You just see the
Yeah.
situation. Irelia, she's putting pressure top. I think you kind of, I say it best, you kind of just play tango a little bit. You dance around the objective, but you don't take it, because Irelia, she's got Hullbreaker, she's got Bork, she is slicing through those towers, and you just want to buy her time. Like, I think that is one thing I do want to see a little bit more from some of the, I guess, competitive teams is if you got a split pusher, let your split pusher do his thing sometimes. Everybody talks about the 5v5s a lot. I mean, the 5v5, sure, it could be strong, but I think play to your advantage. And right now, Zed, he's feeling pretty happy to be playing this Hullbreaker strat. He's going to get a Wit's End. And I think that is a way you play this.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Badger, but that's why we always talk about compositions being easier to execute, right? And, you know, that's the reason why we tend to favor the team fighting compositions more often than not in the draft when we talk about, you know, which team, you know, has the more favorable setup going into these games, because that it is just simply more difficult to coordinate, right? When you have these champions that are so optimized for the side lane, for split pushing, it really does change the way that the rest of your team has to play out these sorts of situations. And I think what we just saw there was the side of NLE Kittens just not playing their composition out the way it needed to be played, right?
The Mega is popped. It does help that Just Gank Mid does have Otacon still. And look at that, Yurtmeister is here.
Oh,
Zed,
no.
I know you wanted the play.
The Goon Squad is coming, and they're not even in this game. It's going to be the Gnar into the wall. Z3 tries to be fancy with it, but it's just going to be about 45 seconds in the death chamber for the Irelia. 5 kills now for Just Gank's Gnar.
Look, I know you shout out the Goon Squad. Zed did his best Fort 20 impression I've seen in a while, so he's here with us in spirit. As I mean, you look at it, hey, calm. He's still putting pressure topside. He's making up for the death that did happen by, but look at the pressure that we're seeing here from the side of Mint Cryptic, right? They are firing away at these towers. They have the grubs. They got 3, I guess, but you look at it, you still got your Otacon up. You could play aggressive. And look at that Gnar. He's close to Mega. That's their play.
They're not going to be able to siege the tier 3 turret, though. The minion wave does get cleared out by Phantasma, so we're just going to have to... It's still actually a 1,000 gold lead for the side of the Kittens, despite the fact that, you know, I feel like the last few sequences really have gone Cryptic's way. Gonna have another dragon in about a minute, so Cryptic are going to have another shot at getting themselves up to soul point. Could be a really big turning point in this game, Badger, that next fight.
I think the next fight, I don't want to call it early and say it's make or break, but I mean, we're looking at it. You don't want to give soul point to this team, right? You think about it. What makes a hyper-scaling team that has a Jinx, Anivia, Seraphine even scarier? Giving them more stats so that they can hyperscale with, right? It's
on every
very
attack.
tough. Maybe it's their angle. Maybe they're just going to say, hey, who cares about these objectives? We're just going to have Irelia do her thing. But looking at it now, the Gnar, he's kind of gotten some money in his little pocket there, right? Sitting at 5, 1, and 0. Gotten the Trinity, gotten the Cleaver. I think it's Asterix that's coming out soon. That's a big guy. That's a big guy who's saying a lot of things I don't really understand sometimes.
That's true. That's true. You know, we were just talking about how, you know, there have been some examples of kittens or cats wearing pants in the past. We haven't really considered the fact if Yordles wear pants or not.
That only... he's prehistoric, so they didn't have pants invented, I don't think. But the other ones do. But looking at it now, I mean, It's a fight for vision here, and oh, that's a
Doggy
wall.
pinned against the wall. That is a really nice and heavy wall. The Nautilus is going to flash and try to get away. The Seraphine Encore. It connects onto Phantasm, but the Zai is able to stay safe for now. Not even going for the Featherstorm just yet as Yurgmeister flashes away to try and stay alive. Really nice Bramble Smash there to disengage from the Yasuo. Now it's a 5v4 on the maps. They've taken down the Nautilus. 5v4 for Cryptic. See if they're willing to re-engage, retake this territory in the river. Is Z3 doing a good job of zoning him away, but it's mid-control for Cryptic. They're happy to just say, okay, you want to stay in the river? We'll just take your mid-tier 2 turret. And now you can see the Kittens realizing they may have perhaps made a miscalculation. The tier 2 is going to fall. There's still a few seconds. Coconut Doggy is going to respawn as Phantasma forcing his way back into the mid lane, but that's the Featherstorm is going to come out just to disengage from the Anivia ultimate, and that's going to be Calm who gets taken down. Z3 off of the flank here, in danger of getting taken down as well. Yeah, Relia getting out some decent damage, tries to flash away, but there's more members of Cryptic there, and Gank mid's going to take down the Blade Lady. And now again, it's a numbers advantage for Cryptic. Now they can look to fall back to the Dragon.
Look at Piglet. He's in a bit of a... Actually, never mind. It's 200 years is in a bit of a bad spot.
Okay, level 16 for the Anivia. As I think the Q actually got interrupted there. Tosses out the Glacial Storm once again. The String of Thorns is going to get the flash out from the enemy mid laner. Meanwhile, the Dragon is being taken. Is 200 years going to be able to get away from this one? It looks like the answer is yes. The Anivia will survive. Coconut Doggy is going to get the bad news for the rest of the team. This is Soul Point that is going to be secured. And this is Cryptic looking for the 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. The gold lead had been in the side of NLE, right? That side lane pressure. They got the plates, they got some money, but you just look at the team fight execution. What are you willing to take? And you look at it, they took the fights that they needed here. They brought the Gnar in with Mega. The Jinx is 6, 1, and 5. The Seraphine, I don't think any champion that has played Seraphine, anybody who played the champion, Seraphine has not died at all this series, right? She said at 0-0-12, but look at... Nice.
Oh, he just hops away.
But yeah, Seraphine's getting so much value. I feel like the Encore is landing. The ultimate is hitting the angle that they need. They're able to find the picks, and it's really hard to play. There is only so much that Yasuo can block with his wall. And look at that wall.
Doggy's in trouble again here. He's going to toss out the depth charge, but it's just not going to save him. Another man advantage for Mint Cryptic. They start up the Nash. It's pretty soon after spawn, so this is going to take a little while to go down. They've got it down to about 50%. As Piglet starts to move in, the Zyra could look for an angle here with the Stranglethorns. There, and they're just burning it down. The Maokai does secure the objective. Can Cryptic get out now? As Just Gang Mid is actually going in. He manages to take down the enemy jungler, but the Seraphine is going to get traded back first out of the game for the Seraphine, but Z3 is going to get taken down. The Jinx excited now. Larry kiting forward. Calm going to get taken down by the Super Mega Death Rocket. It's going to be another one team fight, plus the Nash, and a huge lead now for Mid Cryptic.
I mean, you can't dodge it all, right? You look at what's all being thrown out. The rock from the Gnar, the Super Mega Death Rocket.
Wow.
Phantasm can dodge a little bit, but when your support's dying on you, you ain't got much left in the tank. It's an ace, and then it goes over to the Gnar, sitting at 8, 1, and 2. This gold lead, I feel like it's been a little misleading. I feel like the kills have told the real story of this one. And I'm going to let you finish us out, but I mean...
Cryptic. Yeah, they are going to get up to 5 wins now here in Sector 2. They're going to equalize with NLE Kittens with 1 week left to play in the regular season. And they were the decidedly better team tonight. Cryptic are looking great this week. Coming off, they're in a new organization now that is brand new for this week. But in terms of the gameplay, it looks like they have not missed a beat. Huge 2-0 win for Mint Cryptic.
I feel like that is a trendsetter, a staple for other Warden teams to see. That was a very, very clean series from the side of Mint Cryptic. I think they showed that they could play both styles. I mean, there's obviously more than two, but they showed both sides of the coin they're favored in. They played super, super well. I know I'm maybe jumping a little bit forward here. We might be asking who's the player of the game, maybe even player of the series. Just Gank Mid, the fact that he's playing into what I think is an awful matchup for Gnar. We saw it gets the solo kill. so much value in these team fights. He did the most damage to in 22K. He was unleashed. That little guy was getting it done. And when he became big guy, he was throwing people into walls. And you just look at it, he was a monster, and he helped take that team to get that 2-0 here for sure.
Yeah, definitely didn't need any pants in this one. They
Mhm.
probably just would have held him back, honestly. It was a great game, a great couple of games from Just Gank Mid. Of course, was on the Yone. And game number 1 had that really big team fight around the Dragon in that first game as well, right? Was definitely a big difference maker there. Also, for the side of the Kittens, they've obviously had a pretty good season so far. And there were a couple of slip-ups in this second game, but you could tell that they knew how they wanted to play this composition out, how they wanted to play this game out. But unfortunately, in the end, it just felt like the coordination wasn't quite where it needed to be to take on, a Mint Cryptic roster that looked like they were firing on all cylinders this evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to call out a sore thumb. I mean, I just think Coconut Doggy didn't have they didn't play it like they needed to today. We look at it only doing. I know we don't talk about support damage a lot, but the fact you're only doing 2K damage, you're only getting 1 assist in a 30-minute game. That's not a great showing. That's not what you want to be seeing here. And we talk about it, right? Space doing a lot of job of making space. I mean, it writes itself. Like it's just it felt a lot about I didn't talk about him in game 1 and game 2, but he was a rock in these. He found the rel engages, he found the angles that they needed, and he found what was needed. I keep saying what was needed, but he did it. What was needed was done, and it was a great showing. And I think you don't say support diff a lot, but Space he might be saying that to his buddies after this.
Yeah, it was definitely a great performance from Space as well. Just the fact that we saw 2 different members of Mint Cryptic play the Seraphine tonight, and both played it so well, is definitely a big draft question for future opponents to think about. Right, you really need to be considering that because the Seraphine, the fact that they're able to play it flexibly between mid and support, and it was able to have such a huge impact in both games is definitely pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, Larry had a couple of great games as well. The 80 carries I was highlighting at the top of the stream as being kind of the players that I was keeping a closer eye on tonight. And Larry definitely had Phantasma's number in this best of 3. Like you said earlier as well, being able to play a couple of different styles, right? Had the Kaisa in game number 1 and the Jinx in game number 2. Popped off on both. Just really impressive stuff across the board for Mint Cryptic. Did you have any other final thoughts, Badger? Anything else you wanted to mention or words for the stream?
I mean, I'm looking at it. Every time I've casted a Mint roster, they have shown up big and they have put on performances, right? I feel like the teams here, they are playing well. They have a lot of coordination. So whatever is in their tea, maybe it's green tea, maybe they add some peppermint to it, some spearmint, who knows, but it's working out for them. So props to this org as well as these 2 rosters here. They are putting on shows. I think if you are other teams in Warden, you got to be scared of these guys because I think they are going to be a real contender as this goes into playoffs, and I'm excited to see what these teams do.
Absolutely, yeah. Both of these teams are going to be finishing, somewhere towards the top of the standings here in Sector 2. Of course, the exact seedings still need to be determined there. I think we are at some pretty high risk of some tiebreakers happening right now here in Sector 2 of the Warden League. So we'll stay tuned about that, guys. But the Week 8 opponent for Mint Cryptic, their last opponent of the regular season, is going to be Tilt Esports Apotheosis, another team that was 4-2 heading into tonight. And then for the side of NLE Kittens, their last opponent of the season is going to be the other Mint team, Mint Gaming, which was 5-1 heading into this one. So if Mint Gaming, Mint with a Y, if they are able to pick up a win over their opponent tonight, they are going to be alone in first place heading into that week number 8. So that will be interesting to see.
I feel like you willed it into existence. Yeah, I'm getting an update from our producers. It looks like Mint Gaming, they did 2-0 the Goofy Gooners. They stole my name. It's fine, whatever. But like we look at it and you see other sides, Dorado, they do pick up a 2-0 over DNL, or definitely not lit. So I think those standings are starting to be finalized, right? Maybe some teams are going to game 3. We're getting to some nail biters there. I'm excited to see it. But I think a lot of times you're kind of seeing it's later in the season. There are some matchups that are going to kind of determine seeding, but you kind of know who are your big dogs, who are going to be the runners in this playoff race. And I mean, I'm excited. Playoff season it's my favorite season, right? I feel like you
Oh.
use regular season to get to the good stuff. You get to those BO5s, that's where the real players show up. That's what I'm gonna say.
It is definitely going to be fun to see, guys. We, of course, have one more week of the regular season until then. But for tonight, for week number 7, our coverage of the Warden League this evening, I believe that is going to do it. So for myself, from Badger here, from Soul, and the entire team at the LXC, thank you, everybody, very, very much for watching. We'll see you on Sunday for another episode of the Top Hat Lounge, and then on Monday for the continuation of the Arbiter League playoffs. Thank you again. Have a great night.
Mirrors on the wall, staring back at me. Stranger in the hall, frozen by the scene. Portraits seem to fade, he lost his center